The Atlanta Photography Group is one of the presenting organizations for high visibility, and we're happy to be here. WUSSY Magazine, as well as Atlanta Pride, were also sponsors or presenters for our programs for these events. So the Atlanta Photography Group was established in 1987, and it is an artist-initiated 501c3 nonprofit membership organization, and we provide opportunities and support to the fine art photography community. Okay. APG is generously funded by the Lubo Fund, which, if you don't know who the Lubo Fund is, some of you may have heard of Lucinda Bunnan, and it is Lucinda Bunnan is the driving force behind the Lubo Fund. The City of Atlanta Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs, the Fulton County Board of Commissioners, and the Georgia Council for the Arts through the appropriation of the Georgia General Assembly. The Georgia Council for the Arts also receives support from its partner agency, the National Endowment for the Arts. APG is also supported by our individual donors, membership, and volunteers. And this is what makes all of our programs run and gives us the ability to host exhibitions in the gallery and virtually. Our exhibition, High Visibility, as I mentioned, presented by Atlanta Photography Group, WUSSY, and Atlanta Pride, and also in conjunction with Atlanta Celebrates Photography, which is Atlanta's annual photography festival that runs from about mid-September to early November. Tonight and next Thursday, we have the Curator and Artist panel. This evening's panel is hosted by Emily Getsay, and next week's panel is hosted by Le'Andra LeSeur with support from Michael James O'Brien as well. And its program, Identity and Queer Performance in Photography, with curators Michael James O'Brien and Emily Getsay, are moderating a panel of 4 contemporary queer photographers from the recent High Visibility exhibition presented again by us. I don't have that updated. Can you give me the name of the artists who are participating this evening? Somehow I missed that.
Yes, we have Ike, Chinukwue, LaRue Calliet, Maggy Swain, Patrick Rito, and Zoltan Gerliczki.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay. I just wanted to say thank you for joining us, and I hope to see you at future events. Again, identity and queer performance in photography, how one art form can embody another. Okay. Moderated this evening by Emily M. Getsay. M is a queer and non-binary conceptual artist, activist, and curator. As a conceptual artist, their pieces stem from ideas that expand oneself through a relatable and textural lens. They explore the liminal space between perception and reality to create work that translates those ideas. As humans, we accept new information and try to comprehend how we can apply it to our lives while moving through time and space. M brings those ideas and knowledge to the surface to become transferable across cultures and society. M is an MFA candidate in photography at Georgia State University. M's first solo exhibition, The In-Between, debuted in 2019 at the Bakery Atlanta. In addition to their solo exhibition, their work has been part of exhibitions at Emory University, the Atlanta Contemporary, Gallery 874, and many more. They have curated exhibitions at the Center for Civil and Human Rights, Sycamore Place Gallery, and many other locations in Georgia. They have also been featured in publications such as Arts Atlanta, Georgia Voice, WUSSY Magazine, the CNN Freedom Project, and others. They were the president of the Women's Caucus for Art of Georgia from 2017 to 2020, and currently they are founder and chair of the LGBTQIA+ caucus of the National Women's Caucus for Art. As an artist, curator, and activist, Emily M. Getsay continues to make bold strides in creating access to art, the forefront of their mission and purpose. Their purposes lie within creating space for LGBTQIA+ folks and other marginalized folks through art. Okay. She is accompanied this evening by Michael James O'Brien. Michael James O'Brien is a photographer, teacher, curator, poet, and activist currently based in Atlanta, Georgia. He has had solo exhibitions in New York, Paris, Beijing, Hong Kong, Antwerp, Istanbul, Liverpool, and Savannah, Georgia. In addition to having work in London's National Portrait Gallery's permanent collection, his work has been featured in publications like Rolling Stone, Vogue UK, The New Yorker, GQ, iMazing, Black and White Photography UK, WUSSY, and more. He has been editor at large of Verbal Abuse, the poetry zine, as well as contributing editor for Departures magazine. His book, Girlfriend, Men, Women, and Drag, with text by Holly Brubach, was published by Random House in English, French, and Japanese in 2000. From 1900 to 2000, he did all the still photography for Matthew Barney's Drawing Restraint 7, Cremaster 1, 2, 4, and 5, which was exhibited worldwide. Over 20 years, O'Brien was a member of ACT UP, as well as a volunteer for GMHC and Terence Higgins Trust UK. He was a co-producer of the Love Ball in New York and Paris, which over the years raised more than $3 million for people living with HIV and AIDS. He was the creative director for DAA, Designers Against AIDS, in 2011 to 12, and produced the Live Positive campaign for the Flemish HIV awareness organization, Sensoa, in 2013. O'Brien is currently the co-chair of the Advisory Council of Atlanta Celebrates Photography, and he is associate chair of photography at SCAD Atlanta since 2015. Welcome to Em and Michael. We're happy to have you here and to present the program this evening.
Judy, thank you so much. I'm going to start and just say a few words because basically this is M's show. And in spite of any confusion about titling and labeling, she's in charge. But I wanted to say that we conceived of this. John and I talked about this more than a year ago. We thought this would go live last year in 2019. We didn't have the grounding, we didn't have the support, and we didn't have the place to do it, the platform, let's say. And oddly enough, now that we are not live in a sense, we have the platform. And I think we have to learn from this because this is one of the ways that queer artists have to get their voices heard. And this is the best time to do it. Not waiting for institutions to put us nominally into exhibitions and check the mark that says diversity. We don't need that mark checked anymore. We're past that. So I don't want to say any more, except I've had an incredible time working with John Dean, with M. Getsay, with Le'Andra LeSeur, who's not with us tonight, and with Judy Pishneri, who's given us a platform, kept us on track, and sent us emails constantly telling us what we needed to do and when we needed to do it. So this is a great team of people, a great group of artists, extraordinary work, and I've had people say how relevant this was and how important. I'm looking forward to the moment, I hope it won't be at the 100th anniversary of Pride, when we are not having to use the word inclusivity. I'm tired of it, it's past, it's over, we're inclusive, we're there. So Em, you take over, and if I need to say anything, you just buzz me, I'm right here. Thank you so much, Em.
Yeah, thanks, y'all. I'm gonna do short and sweet because this is really about the artist tonight. But I do want to take a second to, first of all, thank everyone involved in this, and then also acknowledge like how amazing this actually is. Even though we're in a pandemic, we are still thriving together as a queer community. And we're also making strides in art, which is something that we haven't always done. And I want to thank you all so much. And I'm so excited to introduce you to each of these artists. Some of these artists, it's their first show. Some of them are seasoned, sometimes some of them are not. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it, Judy. Okay, so the first person I want to introduce you to is Ike Chinukwue. He says, in my art, I try and capture the beauty of portraits with bold colors. I spend the beginning portion of my life shortening myself for societal norms and I use the colors as a way to express my unhinged growth as a queer person. Never let your fear hinder your potential. Thanks, Ike. And these are Ike's work in the show.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here and to be chosen to be part of the show. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad you're in this. I've known your work for a long time, and I'm glad that we're getting to show everyone.
Em, are we going to talk about the work a little bit or have the artist describe what they did or what the purpose of this is, or is that going to happen later?
So it's kind of combined with the questions. They might reference them a little bit, but it's more so about their performance in photography.
Okay.
So we'll go to the next one.
Okay. Just let me know when I need to move on.
Okay, sorry. All right, so then we have LaRue Calliet. He says, my goal with each photo and each project is to show what is hiding and explore why it was hidden. Personalities fascinate me, shining a light on how they vary brings me joy. My work dives deep into my own fantasy created from simple do-it-yourself means. I create imagery for the part of me that didn't have it growing up and for those in this time that need it. And these are LaRue's pieces in the show.
And I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me to participate. I appreciate the opportunity to present my work.
I'm so glad to have you. Okay, we'll get to the next one. All right. And then we have Maggy. Focusing on the storytelling and portraiture, Maggy captures intimate moments within curated dream-like sets of herself and her friends, filled with color and mystery. Maggy's work shows a shared vulnerability between herself and the subject, with both parties coming in to share space and themselves with one another. Maggy's work strives to produce an alternate reality that the viewer can step into, a place where self-exploration can thrive and vulnerability can be shared through playfulness. Maggy documents these special moments as a way to preserve the playfulness of adolescence.
Hello. Thanks.
Nice to see you, Maggy.
Hello. Thank you.
Awesome. We'll go to the next one. And then we have Patrick Rito. The Queer Color series dives into my queer identity through color swatches. Each image uses a single color to create a world with its own landscapes, its own characters, its own patterns. As an interior designer, I constantly pursue color spandex and exuberant patterns. From a single color, I will find or construct outfits, backgrounds, and props to compose an alternative world. I like playing with color because it can be liberating to embody a new color, a new idea. When I photograph myself, I explore a whole other world. The Queer Color series is about self-discovery. It is a visual exploration and visual metaphor for where I am right now.
Thank you, Em, and thank you for having me in this show.
And your work is in another show right now too, right, Patrick?
Yeah, it's actually at Mint Gallery right now as part of Mary Stanley's show. Totally blanking on the title.
Ones to watch.
Oh, Ones to Watch.
I think it's called Good trouble, Patrick.
Yeah, it
The
is.
overall program is Mary Stanley's Ones to Watch. It's yearly, but this one is Good Trouble. I went to the opening physically. It's great.
Yeah, a lot of great artists in that show as well.
And how long is that up for, Patrick?
It's up until just about the end of November, so plenty of time to go see it.
Oh, beautiful.
I think Mint has pretty standard weekly gallery hours that you can go into.
That's awesome. Okay, Judy. All right, and then we have Zoltan Gerliczki and his Celestial Body series. The work presents a digital collage combining Michelangelo's The Last Judgment with a series of over 350 pictures of the artist's body, every character, male or female, that was painted by Michelangelo is now replaced by one naked man, referencing both the nudity that was present in the original version of Michelangelo's masterpiece, as well as offering an overt reference to the rumors surrounding Michelangelo's own sexuality. I'm sure we all know about that. And then also the 11 pieces on clouds. The individual pieces represented the various stories that are present in The Last Judgment here. The direct reference to the painting is taken away to only focus on the individual stories taken from the Cantasis, Perditio, Inferno, Purgatorio of Dante's Divine Commedia. By only using the sky as a background, there is no judgment to be passed. All stories from hell, purgatory, or paradise are seemingly played out in heaven.
Wow, it's beautiful. Thank you. Nice reading. I wish I can read like that. Well, anyway, hi everybody. My name is Zoltan Gerliczki. I'm originally Hungarian, so my English is a little bit rusty, but I do my best. But anyway, thank you so much to include my work in this progress. You know, I've been working a long time in the queer situations and allegations. As you read Mr. Bryan's biography, that's the longest biography I ever heard. So I was part of it. And so here we are.
Beautiful. Before we get into it, do any of the artists want to say anything else unrelated to the questions that we're gonna do? Totally okay if not.
Sitting the question?
Oh, I was saying, do you want to say anything else before we jump into the questions?
Oh no, I'm ready.
All right. Okay. LaRue and Ike, are you ready? Okay, I see you now. I had to like scroll down to you.
Yeah. All right. You guys
Awesome.
ready? All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Here we go.
All right, so we're gonna kick it off with the easy one. What role does the photograph play in your performative practice? What motivates you to make work?
Does anybody want to start, or do we want M to call on someone?
I guess I can start.
Awesome.
The role of photography, it kind of shows, I like to think that I have not that I like to think, but I have a lot of things going through my mind, and I feel using photography kind of gets it out. I tried illustrating and ceramics and everything else. I did a lot of art in high school, but photography really stuck as far as getting my vision out and kind of getting people to think whenever they saw my art pieces. And what motivates me to work is I've always had a drive to create. From a young age, my brother was like a child prodigy. He was drawing beautiful things at like 9. And so from that age, my mom, which I really appreciate, she sees that her children want to do things and she motivates them to do it. So from a young age, I've always been motivated to do art, and my queerness and just my general life kind of motivates me to make more art and create.
It was beautiful.
Nice. Very nice.
I'll go next. So photography really, it allowed me to find myself when I was in a really, really dark place. And so it really plays a huge role in keeping me happy. Just creating different pieces and projects just really, it just makes me happy, really. And the motivation behind it, behind the happiness, is to stay happy and to also see the happiness in other people. Like I said, I love personalities. So when I get a chance to meet someone as a client, or whether I'm choosing them as a subject for a personal project, then seeing how they're kind of skeptical at first because they don't really know what I'm going to do, and then when they see the finished product, the happiness and the joy and the light from behind their eyes, it makes me happy, and it lets me know that I'm doing something right.
I love that purpose, definitely.
Okay, I guess I can go now. So for me, the photograph, I don't know how to explain. Okay, so for me, the photograph plays a part to my performative practice through like kind of creating these like alternate realities and spaces I can exist in. I was always like a very dramatic child, very into like theater, and after theater I got into photography actually, and actually found more power in like creating these characters in like this still environment, and just something that like you indulge with like your eyes instead of having like all these different factors. I feel like I was able to express myself in all like these different facets. Like I could explore like this type of scenery or like idea I had and like perfect it and make it look exactly a certain way. And then stuff I'm inspired by is like folklore, color, flowers, a lot of like natural scenery. I really am inspired by the human body, and exploring like the different forms and shapes my body can exist in is really important to me, and collabing with friends and learning about myself through other people is also something that's important in my work, and photography helps me express. And that's that.
Nice. Who's next?
You go, Zoltan.
Well, I would like to
Ready.
say, I would like to connect my situation with photography and performing arts, even though neither of them I'm doing that. But for this piece, I had no choice. I need to use a camera. I need to use the performing. I even need to act and make expressions for 370 times. That's what you see in that piece. Oh, I didn't count it, but it's 370. Zoltan tried to basically performing every single person, old, young, saint, you can name it all. And it was very nice. I wish I can do more projects like this, and I wish I can support the performing arts because everybody knows performing arts today are in a very poor condition, which is it shouldn't be. So we should really think about, instead competing each other, we should actually really collaborating to each other. Can imagine people, if I really want to do a bigger job, my original dream was to really cast and do really performings. I mean, I don't know, I can't show you because there is a lot of mystery in these paintings anyhow. And as everybody knows a little bit about it, there's been 3 times repainted by other artists because of the church or decide to be, originally looks like was a bathing house. So in my picture, it does. I want people to see this is a bathing house, just like Michelangelo had that dream. Anyway, next time I will explain a little bit more, and we can go a little bit closer, and because there is a lot of hidden things, and like Michelangelo tried to do it, I doing a different way. I'm in more open mind these days, but that's another story. But I think performing arts today, it needs a lot of support. I'm telling you. And Mamaka, you don't have to stop me because it is. And thank you, because that's my comment.
Beautiful.
Next.
Yeah. That took a lot of work and a lot of getting up and motivation.
It took me 4 years. I got the
4
best
years?
motivation. 4 years.
Oh, wow.
I got the best motivation because as no one can do better than Michelangelo in proving our queer, who we are today, what we're fighting for, what he didn't fight for, but he did fight in his own way. He put him anger into the painting. So, but anyway, that's another explanation. But I'm very happy, and again, and all my life, I'm going to be 50 years old this year. I'm going to support no matter what, or we are who we are, and we are a queer, and I love you all. That's all.
Thank you, Zoltan. All right.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I would say one of the things that motivates me to make work is I also view it as sort of this form of self-care and creating things to sort of like calm my anxiety, but also like help overcome depression. And like, I feel like I have to keep making things to sort of like fight off like all these mental health issues. And I feel like I'm always making something, and photography for me is just one sort of aspect of things that I make. And sometimes I'll put it aside for 6 months and do something different, but I always come back to it and I always want to make more things. And I also view the work that I make as sort of like the beginning of a dialogue to like talk about depression or queerness or queer identity. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I view like the work I make and why I want to keep making it.
Beautiful. Okay, Judy, let's go to the next question. Oh, that should say end, but oh wait, no, just kidding. Is there a certain message that guides the way you present your work to an audience in the medium you choose to engage with? How does your experience of the work differ to that of a spectator? Do you know any other perspective than your own?
I'll start this one off. So I think the message that guides the way I present my work is really a message to myself. I have a very large personality. All of my friends, they always tell me that I light up a room when I walk in, even though I don't try, it just kind of happens. And the way I love for my work to be presented when it's printed is very large. I hope one day to have it 6 feet tall because I see myself in my work in every piece that I do. So that's how I want the audience to see the work. I want them to see me, but also find a little bit of themselves as well. And it goes right into the next part of the question. My experience of the work it's so personal because of course I spend hours developing the concept, building the set, editing, and then contemplating on if I even want to go with that edit, that the spectator, I don't think they're thinking about it like that. They're just thinking, wow, this is amazing. And he must have had a huge team to do this, when really it's me, myself, and I, the three of us working so hard together. And I only know my perspective, and I like it that way, because I think if I start to see it from a different perspective, I feel like I may lose the shine, the gold that I feel my work has.
I love that.
I understand. I got it. Who is next?
Did you want to go, Maggie?
Sure, I can go. So certain messages that guide the way I present work is, I don't know, I guess like my work kind of acts as, I liked whoever said the diary aspect, because I also feel that, and it's a way to, like catalog certain parts in my life and see how my body and just my styles and different parts of me grow throughout the years. And then the way I present my work is very random. I feel like when I'm making work, it kind of starts as one idea and can change very drastically throughout the whole process. I've been getting into, I've always kind of been into it, but as you can see, like the collage I have in the show, like I even like making prints and going into like a mixed medium, like with painting to try to like, what's the word? I don't know, manipulate like the environment I'm trying to show, I guess. And other things that like guide me is just to explore like my own like, I guess, alter egos or different like personalities of myself, and it gives me a way to like control my environment with just like building of the sets and like costumes, and just kind of like, it's always very playful and usually an accident, I feel like, what I create, because I never really know if what I'm doing is going to work, which I think is an interesting part of my personal creative process. I also just want to I guess capture all these places that I feel most comfortable in. And I guess moving on to like kind of like combination of the next two questions is I guess with my experience to making it, I'm kind of giving myself like a safe space to be vulnerable with myself and other people I'm creating with, and to give us a place to like play, and like there's no rules, there's no like right ending to like whatever I'm like photographing or doing or like trying to make. It's all like kind of give and take, like let's try this, or no, let's do this and stuff. And when it's given to someone else to view, they're seeing a very like precise version of like this reality I'm trying to capture. Like they're not there for like the vulnerable aspects of like creating this work. So it does have like, I feel like the experiences are different between creator and spectator in that way, if that makes sense. And also like collaborating, I shoot mostly just my friends who like also enjoy like dressing up and just playing around, and I learned like a lot of different perspectives of approaching my artwork and just like what I'm doing to my artwork through like collaborating, like photographing with them, because we'll get like to talking and they'll be like, what if you did it this way? And I'm like, that's pretty cool. And yeah, okay, that's it, I'm done.
Beautiful. It kind of reminded me about like sexuality and how like this is like a different world that we can actually explore things in, and we don't have any of these rules anymore, and we can create our own world like different from what society tells us that we have to do.
Yeah, it's definitely like diving into like idyllic situations like in my brain, like daydreams, like like I would like to exist in this bubble for a while, and then it changes and depending on like my mood or what's happening. But yeah, I like that comment.
Totally. And how about you, Ike?
I always like to put like a sense of wonder, I guess, into my pieces. I want people to kind of think, because I'm always thinking. It's a mile a minute in my mind. And I think that also shows on my work. It's kind of my art, my process. I kind of start setting up one way and then completely it's always like a 180 every single time, because I just do something completely different, or I like hate it and then I like slam my laptop and walk away for like 3 days and then come back and I'm like, maybe I might like this now. But I usually I like, somebody said, taking it into a different world. I like using a lot of colors, a lot of things that just are just weird. I don't know. I think I'm weird, but I'm very okay with that. But I like that other people get to take a look into my mind through my work. As far as like the experience of my work differs from a spectator, it definitely does, because I spend hours and hours and then they never see it. They see like the final product of it. Like one of my pieces, the background was like this ugly yellow color, and it was something I spent weeks on, and then I turned the background orange and they're like, oh my gosh, it's such a great orange, man. Where'd you shoot that at? And I told them and they were just like, oh really? And it just it's always different. It's definitely different because my images usually end up more colorful than they started off with. And do I know any other perspectives? I do. I talk to other people and my friends. I always like to ask and see what people think of my work. It's nice. I do appreciate other people's perspective. I just, because I love talking to people and seeing. Yeah. That's it.
Sweet. Thanks, Ike. Judy, we can go to the next question.
We got everybody?
Yeah, some are answering some questions and
Okay.
other questions.
Okay, got it. All right. Oh, there we go.
All right. In an article he wrote, which persists, performance as an act of survival, Charles Merriweather describes performance art as a means of mobilizing and registering the body to document an experience that has lost its power of agency. What does the power of agency lend to the queerness and your art practice? Zoltan, do you want to kick this one off?
That's a hardest topic, but I'm trying to do my best. Well, of course, the power of agency in art is an important way to shape your own personal story. So I guess we do have to tell or explain our story. We kind of also, as every artist today in the 21st century, we are getting more selfish and more selfish. But again, in my work, I'm using history. So I'm I didn't just put myself, just for fun or whatever. So in my experience, I think yes, it's important. And my when I'm showing this to a gay reviews or social media, I mean, I tried, and I tell you something, guys, social media banned me for 3 months because I'm showing an art piece. Facebook been banned me, everybody's banning me. So wake up, people, because this is insane, 2021st century. So well, anyway, so yeah, I would like to present in a different way. My original idea was really simple, because I don't know if anybody really know. This is just one section of the Sisti Chapel. I created the whole entire Sisti Chapel. This is just the last judgment. There is a chapel, there is a ceiling, there is 9 stories as well. So believe me. And for queerness, yeah, I tried to connect with my friend was proposing me a good, my agency kind of proposing me, oh Zoltan, we can project in a gay club on the ceilings in a dark room. And I said, oh, what a fucking good idea. So, and you know what, it is a good idea, and I took it, and you know what, I actually want to do it. If I ever have a chance to present entire work, entire body work, it's big. So I would present the whole ceiling in a gay bar, dark, and the Last Judgment in the corner of the wall. And that's what I would like to present. My message for any message for gay people, no, I don't have issues for stereotype. I don't have issues what colors you are, what we are. I just love what I'm doing, and I'm trying to make my living as an artist. And I just hope I can, again, collaborate more than compete of all of you. Thank you.
I feel like Mary's might let you do that.
What?
You know Mary's bar in East
Yes.
Atlanta?
Well, if you can, if I would be very happy to do it.
Okay, we'll talk. I feel like
Okay.
you'd be down.
All right.
All right. Patrick?
Yeah. Sorry, just rereading. I would say that I do view my work as sort of like this act of survival and like an outlet almost for queerness. And I feel like sometimes I forget what it means to be queer and wonder if it even matters and like, does it mean anything? And I think I make the work that I make to sort of remind myself like what it means to be queer and like sort of like think through some things that I've been thinking and like try and get ideas out there. And I think it is sort of an act of survival and like helping overcome like ideas of like body dysmorphia or social anxiety, because I don't feel like I like to present very queerly in the world, but with the artwork that I make, I feel more confident to sort of make that kind of artwork. And maybe it's this sort of like this mediation between like the real world and the artwork that I make. And I feel much more free in the work that I make than in real life. So I would say that the work I make is that sort of like yeah, this like the way that I experience queerness almost.
Wow. Thank you. Maggie, did you want to answer?
Sorry. Yes. Hold on. Let me put my gum away. Ew. Sorry. So how I kind of process this question with performance being an act of survival, to me personally, it is like, I don't know, performance from like the camera is giving me like, again, like a space where I can get to know myself and explore myself, which I think is important for survival. A lot of queer people don't get that chance to do that, sometimes never. And I feel like that's a really good, important part of, I don't know, just connecting with yourself and like having that, I guess, confidence or just like security, that you're like okay when you can like create stuff that makes you feel like safe and comforted and gives you that outlet to express it. I guess the power of agency along with my art practice is just like taking kind of like power over my body and like letting, like, I don't know, just being like, I can do whatever the fuck I want with like my time and my body, and I can present it any way I want. Being a female artist who does photograph nudity, I get very over sexualized a lot, which in part of like taking nudes, I'm trying to break away from the sexualization of mine and like my other queer friends' bodies. So it kind of gives me agency more to flip the gaze on that, because I feel like women and lots of queer people are like fetishized, overly sexualized, and it's pretty gross. And yeah, I feel like kind of like manipulating that gauge also goes along with like an act of survival. Yes, that's it.
Especially in queer spaces, or from the straights looking into the queer spaces, we often get super hyper sexualized.
Yeah.
Everyone is queer, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Judy, and we'll go to the last question. All right. So, is there any guidance or mentorship from other people with queer identities that has helped you throughout the development of your art practice? Is there any advice that you might pass on to those who are new to queerness and creating art?
Good question. Well, I think all artists can benefit from mentoring and guidance. So my mentors have been many. I guess I'm kind of lucky of this. Really well, you always have your favorite one, of course, and that is my partner who's been supporting so long. And you will find it also I'm sure in your experience as well. It's just like we call it a family. And but in reality, I think we need to get more support. And we not just talk about photography, we talk about all kind of queer artists. And again, I'm just repeating myself. Instead, competing, we should collaborating. And that is my message tonight. But anyway, I would like to just say something. I don't know if you know, I have even, because this work, what you choose, as you see, it's two different pictures. But the one is, as you see, as you can call The Lost Judgment by Michelangelo, based on the story. But the other one, I'm taking actually out of Michelangelo and the religious and everything. I'm just actually truly just performing on the sky what is really is the situation, which is my expression and the famous people in the painting. So, but anyway, so yeah, you will need more. We all need a lot of support, and don't forget, we not just talk about support. We have also our enemies, but that's going to be another topic. So we don't just support. We need support, but meanwhile, I also have to fight for my enemies. I mean, this is hard. It's hard, but you know what? I'm okay. I'm fine who I am. I'm okay. I'll create my work. I love what I'm doing, and I hope it goes with all in one family, which is we are. We are queer, you like it or not, and I am very happy to say I am. Next.
LaRue, would you like to go?
Sure. So the guidance and mentorship that I've gotten, I'm going to give that same guidance and mentorship now. Basically, I was told to own who I am and to love who I am and to own and love the power that I have. We as individuals have power, even if it has been taken from us in a moment. It's something that really never leaves. We're just blinded by that experience. So that is what was told to me, and that's what I'm going to say, and that's what I express through my art. With Rest Easy in Tough Times, which is the head resting in the hand in a frame, and with Black Trilogy, which is the three young gentlemen, which is one man, but it's the three images of the young gentleman shrouded in the sheet. It's all three of those are really about owning the power, whether it's the power to rest when times aren't the best, which it's a pandemic, it's an election year, there's so much going on, the blatant racism that is happening, and it's been happening, but it's just so apparent because of social media and because of political things that are happening. And with Black Trilogy as well, you're able to either stand in it, ignore it, or be afraid of it. But the power is there. And that's what I was told, and that's what I believe. And even though I don't always feel it, I know that it's there. And I hope that anyone who is new to their individual queerness, or who is an ally and friend to someone who is new to someone's queerness, that they're able to own that power, which is the person who is new to queerness, owning their queerness, and then that friend owning the power to support and love that person and the art that they create as well.
Wow, I needed that, LaRue. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I go next?
I don't know about anyone else. I need it. Ike, did you want to go?
Yeah, I can go. I would say that I did get guidance when I first started practicing, I guess heavily, was from my partner at the time. He really was a big inspiration. He was also an artist and a photographer, and he really taught me a lot of things. And we had a lot of collaborations that we did together of love, that we created a lot of really good, cool things. My advice to other people would be that just be yourself, just do you, and don't let other people's opinion about your work mean anything too much. I know I had a art teacher that scoffed at some of the stuff that I first started doing, and I just persevered and I kind of came through it. For a long time, I kind of just put down my camera for a while because of her, and she kind of just broke me. But even with being broken, you can find a way up and out and find a way to express yourself that people find beautiful, because you're beautiful on the inside and you just need to express that through your art. That's it.
Yeah, you never know what little queer baby is looking at your art.
Yeah, as for Ike, it's very nice. I love your voice as well. But I'll tell you something. I think, again, suggestion, if I can suggest for other artists, I think it's nice to see other people's what they're thinking. You know, it's very different when you ask your love, your partner, you know, for certain things. Then you need a third person who can actually disagree or agree. And then, you know, when you're three of you having an argument, two of them is going to win. And you just have to say, okay, I got it. So I think it is important to of course we love what we love and we keep what we have, but I think it's important also to share and get feedback. And you know, I'm okay. Listen, people can call me anything they want. I don't care. You know, my work speaks, and that's all I care. But anyway, nice talk, Ike. Thank you.
How about you, Patrick?
Yeah, I would say in terms of mentorship, I didn't go to school for fine arts or photography, so I don't know that I had a mentor in the traditional sense, but when I started photographing about a decade ago, I was looking a lot on Tumblr and Flickr, and the people that I were looking up to were my age or younger, and they were sometimes queer artists as well, but just photographers, and that's kind of like where I was sharing my work and where I was getting inspiration from. And yeah, it's, I actually have met like some of them in person over the years and we've photographed together. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the sort of first people that were inspiring me were just people I found online. And I would say in terms of advice for new people making art or new queer people making art, I think first of all, like make the art you want to make always, but also it's okay to take breaks. Like sometimes I'll put my camera down for 6 months at a time and I'll pick it up and be like, oh fuck, do I even remember how to use this? And you do, but I think it's okay to take breaks and just work when you need to, and not, I don't think you have to force it.
Well, I kind of agree, Patrick, and especially because you are a photographer. But how long you will take a break, man? I mean, you know, otherwise you're going to be a forgetman. So What the situation today, we're not taking break, man. We are actually have to keep continue. We have to even work more. We have to create more. So it's no break, man. They're gonna put you back as where they wanna be. They're gonna put us back in the underground, man.
Zoltan's
That's your
gonna.
advice, Patrick. And
that?
can I say just one thing?
Yeah, go.
The conversation's been so each topic that you brought up has so many possible, and I have 3 questions back. I wanted to talk about what Maggie reacted to, but I want to say something else. And which is, well, let me just say that idea between performance as, let's say, a dancer or a theater person, when you have an audience physically before this, and when you do performance or performative work in your photography, your audience reaction, as you mentioned, with spectators in your question, is very different from when you're on the stage and you feel people reacting or you don't. In the case of performing for your own work, I think it's a very interesting and complicated process. Maggie addressed it very well. And I'm reading a book, and this is a little bit answering what Patrick was just saying, what you're all saying too. 2 things. I'm reading a book called Glitch Feminism by Legacy Russell. And she's talking about the fact that when we were born, the images that we saw that were presented of what was called normal were what we realized when we moved through our early life. You never saw a Black woman on the cover of Vogue. You never saw a film with a queer person. If it was Edward Albee or Tennessee Williams, it was changed into a heterosexual couple. That's what they had to do. So I think what we have to do now is look at these identities like you all are doing. And my advice to the younger people in terms of finding a mentor, you didn't see yourself. Some of you did when you were growing up, not when I was growing up. And I had to, how do I say this, take it as a metaphor and translate. And what I'm seeing, and is that me? Where am I in that story? And how you find the moment when the light goes on and you feel you have a bridge. And certainly, as Zoltan said, we need to be a community, even if we don't have to be collectively involved in making work with each other. But this is very important. And I think, and this is back to the Legacy Russell thing, we have this platform. And what she's talking about, one of the things they talk about in the book, is that this is one world. It no longer is URL and then away from keyboard is separate. It's not separate anymore. And I think we have to identify that we are in one way of expressing ourselves. And I think that's very important to think about when you go on, on Facebook and you're one person and then your so-called real life is something else. That's not the case anymore. And I think we're responsible for our narratives. And you made that very clear and your questions were great. And each of them, I think we could have talked about for about an hour. But so thank you so much for posing them, for asking the great group of people that you brought together with very divergent work. And as Zoltan said, let's not hold back. Let's keep going. Got to keep going. And these platforms give us that chance, Em, don't you think?
Totally. I totally do. And thank you for that. I do want to now open up the floor if anyone wants to hop on and ask a question.
Okay, Em, I want to ask a question, and I've been doing this all day with my students. I would like to throw since we have a minute, and Maggie, and you brought this up. So can anyone say from what performance, as we think of it, dancing, theater, singing, music with an audience, and now we don't have an audience, but in any case, you're making performative work for art pieces, let's call them, photography. All of you are doing that. So do you see it, do you feel a difference? And you use the word spectator, Em. Where's your spectator? Is your spectator you, your imagined audience, your friend? I'd love to ask Maggie that to start because you brought this up in your answer to that question about spectators that Em asked and performing. So who's your audience when you're making this work?
I guess my audience is kind of myself because I am like analyzing myself when I'm doing it and kind of like changing the way I'm doing things and performing for like my own camera, so my own gaze. So I guess my audience is myself, and then that's why when I present it to like either like a friend or another random person, the way they're like processing or like experiencing the photograph is way different because I'm not really making it for them to view. I'm making it for myself. So that's where like just different perspectives and I don't know, I guess the way they view it is different. don't know. Does that answer your question? I can't hear you, Michael.
I've been unmuting and muting all day. Maggie, I think it's a very good answer. It's your answer. And I do think it's critical to think when we create work, who are we making this for?
Yeah.
And especially with performance, what that physicality of you're putting yourself in the picture and you're defining the narrative and not someone else. And then when you show the work out there, who is your imagined spectator? Maybe the spectator doesn't really exist. That's a great answer. And I think we all have to, we think about that. I think, Em, don't you, when you make work, you don't make it in a vacuum. And I want to, there's one thing that I always think about when Jean Genet wrote Our Lady of the Flowers, he wrote it for himself to stimulate himself in prison. And they kept taking away the paper and he kept writing it and writing and taking it away. And that was a work of actually where you cross the line between masturbation and art, because then it becomes for somebody else. And think about that act, the courage it takes to make that act of self involvement's the wrong word. And then showing it to people or thinking, I'm not going to show this to anybody. And then I do. I think it's very, very interesting for all of you how you've described your work. Zoltan, Patrick, everybody.
Can I
And
add
I think that's
something to that?
Yeah, please.
Okay. A lot of the times when I make my self-portraits never, like, it has my face in it, but it's either warped or it's covered. A lot of my self-portraits aren't, it's of me, but it just isn't of me. Because it's always just kind of hidden. And I showed my self-portraits to one of my friends and they're like, why don't you show your face in your self-portrait? And I was like, that's not how I want to present it. And it was just weird, odd to them that I didn't want to present it, but I liked that my self-portraits are warped because I that's just who I am, because it's more about my body of work versus me. And when I take a picture of myself, it's not about me, it's about the art.
So when you manipulate, I'm really curious, especially, I'm assuming is this you in the pieces you submitted as well, Ike? These portraits that we have. Oh wait, are you talking?
Sorry. I think I sent you one of the portraits with me. It's with the holographic bag on the top.
Oh, that's a different series. I'm just curious, why the manipulation? And I think this is something that you and Maggie like favor in, because Maggie also manipulates her work as well in her portraits.
It's kind of like, it's a mixture of kind of, I live a really private life, my regular life. And I want to show, it's me taking myself out of my art. I don't know. I put a lot into my art, but then it's not about me. It's more about the art versus me as myself, I can take a selfie and put that on every day, but put that up, but I want to make something that looks cool, something that makes you think.
Awesome. What about you, Maggie?
Okay. Can you repeat the question?
Oh yeah, I was just curious about your manipulation in self-portraits. And why you did that.
I don't know. When I got into photography, just kind of like what they call like straight photography, like this is what this looks like in real life, and just getting really into like the technical aspects of like color correcting and all that stuff. I just didn't really care about, like, I don't know, and that's not what I wanted. Like, for me, that does nothing. Like, just taking random pictures, like, doesn't make it special to me. So like, I really like forming my environments with how I kind of like see them personally. Like when I look at certain places or like certain like images I'm drawing inspiration of, the first thing I think is like the way these colors are placed or the way the lighting is. Like, I'm not gonna walk into like a room just be like, oh, like that's just like kind of like normal. And I also really like playing with just like perception and like changing the way like colors are supposed to work, and stuff like that. And then backing off of like the selfies and just wanting to make stuff that looks cool, that's actually like a big thing that like got me into photography, was like social media and putting that like performative self online. And I always really liked doing that, like in high school and growing up, and that's kind of like what got me to push that to where it is now, I guess, with just being like overly extravagant in certain cases of the ways I present myself. I just find it interesting and fun for me. And then it's fun to see how other people process and react to that, because it can be a bunch of different types of reactions, I guess. Not always positive, but it's still fun. That's it. So with like the selfie, it might be a generational gap thing, but I think the selfie is another just this like kind of subculture of self-portraiture, which is something I already do a lot. If you look at what is her name? Cindy Sherman has just infamous like self-portraiture, kind of like a big inspiration to me, like making these little like almost like movie still type sets. And then she has moved on to Instagram, like as technology has aged, and she's making these like really like weird, like distorted self-portraits that are all like shot and like edited on her phone, which is just like this new, I don't know, all this new like toys and equipment that we're being presented with as a different way to show off and express self. I don't think there's really any I don't know, disconnect. One isn't more important than the other. I think they serve their purposes very well, and it's just what you do with that tool in a way to express yourself. So I don't think one is more valid than the other. I would have to, into kind of abstracting yourself, I think, is just your own self-expression with like how you felt when you are creating that. And like because we're talking about me and Ike's just like manipulation of a photograph, that's like some extreme manipulation of just kind of like hiding certain parts because you only want the viewer to view yourself in this specific way, and that's why you were creating that image. So that's what I have to say about that.
I do want to interject real quick, because isn't all social media performative?
Yes, that's
In a
kind of
sense?
what I'm trying to say. And with like so another thing of basically what you said is also being just kind of like a woman, and like kind of like the narcissism and vanity that kind of like is tagged along with women enjoying taking pictures of themselves and social media, I think isn't a great thing to say. I have like 40,000 pictures of myself on my phone that I've taken with my phone, and taking selfies for me is a way of like kind of like sketching. Like if I don't have my camera with me, like I have a phone, I have a tool, I can take photographs of myself at any time. And even if it's just kind of like the simplest of just someone taking a photo in their bathroom mirror every day, like that can be important to them and a way for them to express themselves. I don't really think like I understand your comment, but I don't really think it's necessarily like a problem or something to really like police. I think it's a good tool, a good way for people to like, I don't know, express themselves. And also like, I don't know, when I was a teenager, most of my hobbies were just taking pictures of myself in my backyard. I don't know, it's fun. It's fun to dress up and create those little things.
Take it back a little bit to Michael's question about performance on a stage compared to photography. So I've, in my recent past, have done drag, and comparing my experience of bringing that type of art to a crowd, I do that kind of art for the crowd. It's for me a little bit, but it's mostly to put on a show. Whereas my performance in photography is solely for me, which kind of, it can come off a bit selfish, but the way that I like how I express my what photography does for me, it makes me happy. Drag makes me happy, but in a different way. And it's just two different ways that I express the copious amounts of personality that I have. So when I'm on that stage, it's really about putting the energy out there and just letting it go, just releasing it. I don't care what happens to it. And, if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But in photography, it's more so about capturing the energy, holding it there, and then allowing myself to relive that energy over and over again. And then the audience, they can also experience the energy, but they don't have to relive it if they don't want to. So I just wanted to say that.
I think that's a good definition, I think, of the difference between performing and for the camera of your own and performing for an audience. I think that was a very good way to put it, LaRue.
Thank you.
No, thank you all. This was great. I really enjoyed the conversation and talking and learning more about photography as performance, because I totally understand it, but I never really thought about it truly that way. But it really is, and especially with the photographs of people and the photographs of, of yourself, it does become a very performative art that gets then fixed in, in a medium, rather than kind of being that transient form of, performance that, as a one-time event. You do get that kind of longevity of it by fixing it into a photograph. But this has been a wonderful conversation. I think the questions were great. The artists, I love your work. It's been a pleasure being involved with this exhibition. Thank you all very much. There was one question in the chat about, seeing more of the artist's additional work. If you, I will in the next few days put a hot link on everybody's name to their website or to their Instagram on the website page. So if you're interested in seeing more of all of the artist work, you'll be able to find them easily and not have to search for them and find 50,000 people with that same name.
Fantastic. Em, thank you. The questions were really great. And we learned a lot.
Yes.
Wonderful job, everybody. I really appreciate all of the talks that you gave, and it just really made me so happy. I mean, I'm 60, so I'm probably the oldest one on this call, but I just love hearing from all of the young artists, and as you age up, you're gonna just keep it going. Don't stop. I love it. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Terry, for all your good work too all these years. All right.
Great. Thank you all very much. Have a great night.
Bye.
Please be
Take
sure
care.
to join us next Thursday for our next curator and artist panel. Bye-bye.
Spread the word.